All right. Welcome back to the final Summer League version of the Run.down postgame show here on the Strickland YouTube channel, Strickland Twitter page. And if you're listening to this the day after Strickland Podcast Network, I am Sam doing this solo for the final time. Knicks Summer League squad wins 90 to 82 over the Hawks Summer League squad. We got our final looks at Rokas Yakubaitis, Tyler Kolek, Ariel Hokporty, and Skapintsev right before the season begins. We'll see what moves the Knicks make in terms of those last couple of roster spots. It was good to finally, see what Rokas could do in extended run today. And we also got to look at a lot of the end of bench guys on this Knicks Summer League team that haven't really got a chance to really show themselves. I know they'll probably end up being in Westchester for the greater part of this year. But yeah, solid outing from Rokas Yakubaitis in this one. 12, 5, and 5 on 4 of 7 from the field, 2 for 2 from 3. I would say like this outing was way more impressive than his first time around in Knicks Summer League. I know last time he was kind of overshadowed by Quickly and Grimes and Deuce and all those other guys being here. But yeah, I mean, it was just great to see him showcase what he has. He's a bigger guard. He can get to the cup. He can shoot off the bounce. Great playmaker as well. Gets rebounds, competes on the defensive end. I mean, does all the things that you could ask for from someone in his position right now. And yeah, I mean, if the Knicks didn't sign Campaign, I'd say that I'd be way more confident in his chances of him actually making the main roster. But since the Knicks have rostered Campaign, it seems as though the Knicks will be at least another year away from Rokas joining the big squad. But yeah, I mean, before we continue with all this, of course, I have to do our lovely Bet Online ad read. And as you're watching, you could leave some comments about Knicks Summer League, Knicks anything else, Julius, all this other roster decisions that we have to await from the Knicks. Any questions you have, I'll be sure to answer them. Bet Online is your number one source for all your sports betting needs this season, from baseball, golf, soccer, right to all the top fights in UFC, MMA, and boxing. Every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker or online with one of our 150 slot games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your 50% free bet credit on your first deposit up to $250. Bet Online, the game starts here. So, yes, it was the Knicks' final Summer League game. We didn't see a lot of Dwayne Washington today. We didn't see a lot of Tyler Kolek or Ariel Hokporty or Skapintsev. I think the Knicks kind of saw all that they needed to see from those guys. Pretty solid outings from Kolek, Hokporty, Skapintsev, and Yakubaitis from this summer. Overall, Dadier, he's a work in progress. He's an 18-year-old project. So, I mean, there were some encouraging things from him in terms of playmaking. The shot form looks nice. And there is some defensive potential with him. But we'll see where things go with him. He'll most likely be in Westchester for all of this year. But yeah, I mean, a lot of decisions upcoming for the Knicks. And we'll see what happens with them. There was a report from Ian Begley that I do want to bring up, which kind of lends itself to the conversation that Mishwin and Jeff were having just yesterday about Cameron Payne being signed and what that entails for the Knicks and for other players on the Knicks. If I can just pull this up. But it basically kind of implied that Campaign wasn't going to sign here to just be a guy off the bench, which it all in all does make sense. But yeah, it's his campaign will this is from at the Knicks recap. It's his campaign will likely play significant minutes for the Knicks next season and be the floor leader for the bench unit, according to Ian Begley. I think he's going to get significant minutes in that second unit with the Knicks, be the floor leader for that bench unit, which we would assume would include Josh Hart, DiVincenzo, maybe McBride. He will get consistent minutes. I don't think he would have come here without the idea of getting minutes. I haven't heard that specifically, but it would surprise me because I'm sure he had several suitors out there on the open market. To that point, I would say that there are a ton of point guard options still on the market right now that haven't been signed. So I think that campaign probably saw what's happening with this free agent class in general and was like, let me just get in on the Knicks now, because maybe something else just isn't guaranteed for him at this point. There's a lot of guys that are just going to end up signing to vet minimums that are actually really quality role players, and teams might actually end up getting like really good discounts for players just because of the way the market shaped out. And I think Campaign is just going to be one of those players that he probably just saw where the market was heading and saw this opportunity and was just like, hey, I'm familiar with Mikal Bridges from my time in Phoenix. That's my guy. The Knicks just got him, and hey, there's that. So I mean, there is some credence to Ian Begley. I don't think he would say this without having some substantial knowledge on this, but we'll see what happens. There's still training camp. There's a lot of time from now until the beginning of the season. So I would be somewhat weary of this. I would take this with a grain of salt, this report, just because we've seen what Deuce McBride provides for this team. And I think it would be remiss for Tom Thibodeau to just forget about everything that happened last year just for the sake of having a traditional point guard or someone that sets the table or whatever. Even though, lineups that include these guys won't really need a guy like that because you'll have Julius and you'll have Bridges and you'll have Hart and Dante and all these other guys that can do the secondary and tertiary playmaking. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I mean, maybe it's like this because of the absence of a Hartenstein. Hartenstein was a big man that could act as that hub, but now that Julius is back, it's like Julius can be that hub. So it's like you don't really necessarily need that traditional floor table setting point guard. But we'll see what happens there. It's still interesting. The Precious Achiuwa thing hasn't been signed. There are teams that could use Precious Achiuwa, like a New Orleans Pelicans, that don't have any big men. He would make that much more of a difference. But yeah, we'll see. We have a lot of time left till there's actual things to be, like actual basketball to be played for the Knicks. And that's when we can start really having some conversations about what happens. But yeah, as Chris Bernhard brings up here, there's 2 more weeks until the Julius decision. So there's that as well. So yeah, I mean, Julius Randle, contract extension, if that happens, if it doesn't happen, we'll probably be on live to talk about that as well. Just want to check through Twitter real quick. But yeah, Knicks Summer League is over. On to the rest of the offseason. I'm sure Knicks fans will find something to do during this time. But yeah, we'll see what happens with this roster. See who they bring in, what happens with Rokas. I mean, with Rokas now, it's just like he looks like he was really gunning for that NBA roster. I wonder if like the Knicks, like if they can't really roster him this year and he really wants to come over, if they're just like, hey, we'll trade you to a team that will play you, whatever. but yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens there. Um, but yeah, nothing much really else to talk about. I don't know if anyone wants to leave any questions or comments um, about this next off season. What else there is to be done? Any other questions? Um, but yeah, Knicks Summer League is over, and I guess basketball fans all have left is Team USA to watch. Um, that was a very interesting game today, by the way, for those that were tuned in to USA versus South Sudan. Um, some good hoops today. Shout out to the hoopers on South Sudan. Didn't see any big men that really stood out that the Knicks could pick up. Um, but I mean, they got some snipers between Mariel Shayok and JT Thor. And shout out to Carlik Jones. Hopefully, those guys, find an NBA roster. Um, I don't think any of those guys have been signed by any team. So, yeah, I mean, this is a great spot for a lot of international players to really showcase what they got against actual NBA talent. And, teams will be watching. I don't know how constrictive the CBA is for even guys like that, because, like, even established players can't even get signed right now. So it's just, like, it's tough. And I think that's another that, like I said before, I think that's the reason why campaign took the offer that he did. Brent asks, who's the biggest international competition? To the US, man, I would say I would I'd agree with, I don't know about Canada. Canada is weary for me just because of the big man situation with Canada. I don't trust their bigs all that much. But then again, Joel Embiid just looks like crap. And if Steve Kerr is just going to keep starting Joel Embiid, then that gives a little bit of an advantage to teams in the beginning of games until Bam and AD show up and do their thing. But man, I mean, I think there's a lot of solid competition in the world. I mean, Serbia, they held kind of firm for a little bit. South Sudan, I mean, shit, got to give them their props. The USA was 43.5-point favorites today against South Sudan, and the game came down to a game-winning layup by LeBron James, who is the oldest player in the NBA. So, yeah, I mean, USA's got to get on their shit if South Sudan is going to be giving them problems, because South Sudan just has marginal NBA talent. I think we also got to give respect to a team like Germany. They just won the FIBA World Cup, and a lot of their guys are going to be competing. I think all their guys are going to be in the Olympics. So, yeah, I think Germany, and I think the Team USA plays Germany in a couple of days. So we'll be able to see what that looks like. I think Germany's big comp to the US, Canada, Serbia. But like we've seen also in a lot of these games, like USA can turn it on and, just blow teams out of the water. But South Sudan was not one of those teams today. Shout out to them. I think they shot like 58% for most of the game, if not the whole game. But yeah, it's gonna be very intriguing because like if USA is just not on their shit and like they're relying on the elder statesmen to like bring them out of these ruts, then yeah. But yeah, it's gonna be fun watching Olympic basketball this summer. Although there won't be any Knicks. Kind of good that there's no Knicks. I'd rather these guys get their rest and be fully healthy come regular season. I know a lot of Knicks fans were kind of pissed that Brunson never got an invite. I also just don't think Brunson's the type of player that would have meshed well with this team anyways. Like FIBA basketball is a lot of like moving the ball. I'm not saying like Jalen's like a ball stopper of any sort, but like he's so used to playing like this ISO heavy game, and Team USA and like FIBA is just not that. So And we kind of saw that in Jalen Brunson's last outing with Team USA. And I mean, he can play that role, but like his best basketball is when he has the ball in his hands. So, but yeah, I would say Canada, Germany, and Serbia. I think is Giannis's team going to the Olympics? Is Greece in the Olympics? I think they are, right? I don't think Greece is going to do much. No offense to Khan, who's maybe watching this stream. But yeah, USA. But yeah, I don't think there's really anything much else to talk about. Shout out to everyone that's been tuning into these summer league streams. I know we've been talking much more about like the off season and stuff like that, which has been very entertaining. Seeing the Knicks take that step closer to becoming a contender in the league. But yeah, Aaron H says he can't wait for the schedule to drop so he can figure out which games he's going to go to. Man, every year I'm like, I'm going to go to a Knicks game, and like I just never get a chance to. Whether it's like my schedule or anything else, I just always never get a chance to really go to a game. The ticket prices also be absurd sometimes, depending on the game. But yeah, when's the schedule going to drop? That's actually a good thing. NBA schedule release. Probably be in August, like it was last year. So yeah, maybe we'll also have a stream for the schedule release as well. Just to talk about what games will probably be of most importance for the Knicks. What games will, yeah. I think that's really pretty much it. Which games like most anticipated matchups for the Knicks? Christmas Day, who we're gonna play. I think Adam Silver is probably looking to milk the shit out of the Philadelphia thing, because that was like the best series in the playoffs last year. So I assume that we'll probably play them on Christmas. But yeah. Aaron H also says he went to the Denver game. It was amazing in there. And the atmosphere is going to be crazy. Yeah, the last Knicks game I went to was opening night when Evan Fournier went absolutely nuts versus the Celtics. Yeah, I lost my voice. I had to go to work the next day. I work in education, so it's not really the best thing to be losing my voice the night before I have to go to work. But yeah, that game was absolutely electric. But yeah, the atmosphere in there was insane. I could just imagine if like that game actually like if like I had went to a game that was like a playoff game or something like that, which is the ultimate goal. This is why I be doing those parlays, man. If you follow me on Twitter, man, I be doing these parlays for many reasons. And one of them is to be able to go to like Knicks playoff games at one point or another. So when y'all see me going hard over these parlays, y'all know it's for a good cause. Yeah. All right. But yeah, I think I'm gonna get out of here now. Shout out to everyone that's been tuned into these streams, tuned into this stream. I am going to go watch the WNBA All-Star game. Yeah. So if y'all are looking for something to watch that's not absolutely bad summer league hoops, tune into the WNBA All-Star game like I am. Support hoops, support women's hoops. Yeah. So till next time, everyone. Shout out to everyone that's tuned in. I will catch you guys on the next stream. Will probably be a Julius Randle extension stream if that happens or not. And then we'll see where the summer takes us from there. Shout out to everyone that's tuned in. Make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe. Make sure you're following us on Twitter. Check out all links in the description, and I will see you all next time. Peace.